Yo, what's going on, guys? Chris Warner here, Overtime Athletes. So for today's video, what I want to do is I want to give you 5 keys that you need to be implementing into your training to improve your agility, right? And this is kind of elements that you should be having in your training that are going to support change of direction, agility, sport-specific speed, so it transfers over to competition. One thing I always tell guys is make sure you know the difference between your actual skills training and your performance training, right? Me as a performance coach in the weight room, I'm trying to complement your skills training. I'm not trying to be your skills trainer. So realize that this is what this deals with. To actually improve your agility and your sport-specific speed, you should be actually committing to more time into your actual skill. But as far as in the weight room and things we do in performance, we're trying to complement it. So 5 things that are going to complement it that'll make you have better overall change of direction and agility. Number 1, let's start from the ground up. You're going to have lower limb plyometrics, okay? We want to work across that ankle, strengthen that foot and ankle complex, inversion, eversion, and being able to train it not only static like a linear, but also change of direction where you're actually diverting forces. So this might look like lateral pogos, or it could also look like lateral line hops back and forth. You could do these laterally or forward and back. Moving forward, that's a staple you must put in. Moving forward, low level frontal plane movement. So now let's move from the lower limb up to the suspension to the hips, right? You need to be consistently performing more work in the frontal plane. This is going to be things such as lateral power shuffles, lateral shuffles. I teach my guys a little bit differently with a wider angle. Karaoke, you need to play with different knee heights when you're doing this, because depending on the athlete, some keep the knee low, some are keeping the knee high. So you need to train different hurdle drills in the frontal plane, right? That's just moving laterally. Crossover runs, look back runs. These are all things that are going to elevate those particular frontal plane movements. So low level, easy for any athlete to do. When I say low level, guys, it's just the complexity of movement. Think of it as a 13-year-old could easily do it, a 12-year-old could easily do it, right? And we want to train these at a high capacity, meaning a lot of volume. Next that you need to include is multidirectional plyometrics, right? So not only are we working horizontal force, vertical force, and lateral force, like in a form of a skater jump, you also want to be including different multi-directional, where either I'm moving linear to lateral, right? Like a single leg broad to a 90-degree broad. You can move from lateral to linear. You can move from forward to back. You just want to kind of mix it up here, and you also want to mimic what that athlete might particularly face on the field or in competition. So doing it in a plyometric setting, you're elevating it because the athlete needs to absorb more force and produce more force, as opposed to if they're just running, right? So set those up, make sure you're including those, and I usually start to include those as we get more specific and the complexity increases of the actual movements. So number 4, multidirectional lunges. One thing that I didn't include here is training in a wider stance to be able to produce more lateral force. However, I just put multidirectional lunges because I wanted to kind of have all-encompassing. So multidirectional lunges are going to be your forward, your backward, your reverse, but also your frontal plane, your lateral. And now I progress these from heavy resistance to more rebound type. All right, but in any event, we're performing these as auxiliary movements, and we're providing resistance on that actual movement. And finally, last but not least, is going to be your core stabilization carry. So I like to carry, and I like to have anti-flexion, anti-extension, anti-rotation, and anti-lateral flexion. The reason why I love these is because if you break down an athlete who could stop on a dime, if he's diverting forces and he needs to change directions rapidly and go the opposite direction, what you'll notice is it takes a great deal of stabilization, all those intricate muscles up and down the spine, for that upper half not to collapse over, right? So if I'm stopping, boom, and I'm coming back this way, what's holding up my top half? My trunk, right? So we want to create and we want to perform anti-stabilization carries with the trunk to be able to support that. So these are 5 key elements in your training to overall enhance your capacity to perform agility. I hope that helps. I'll catch you guys next time.